Today we're talking about the California State Legislature. As you know, in the federal government, we have the executive, legislative, and judicial branches, which were created in the United States Constitution. Likewise, in the state government in California, we have executive, made up of the governor, the legislative, which is our legislature made up of the California State Senate and Assembly, and there's the judicial, which the highest court is the California State Supreme Court. So for this video, we're talking about the California state government, specifically the legislative branch and the making of laws in California. So the California State Legislature is made up of the California State Senate and the California State Assembly. California state senators make up the higher body, or the smaller group of legislators in Sacramento, and the Assembly makes up the larger body, or the lower house. At the federal level, the lower house is called the House of Representatives. In California, it's known as the Assembly, the California State Assembly. The California Senate has the same name as the federal Senate, but we have to remember that they are two separate bodies. So make sure when you're talking about your senator, you're clear whether you're talking about a California state senator or your U.S. senator. So, in California, everyone has a California State Assembly member and a California State Senator. There are 40 state senators in California and 80 state assembly members in California. Each one of them represents a portion of the state. The state is split into 40 parts for the state senate, and the state is split into 80 parts for the state assembly. These are called districts. The district is the area of the state that legislator represents. He represents that area of the state, and he represents the people that are in that area. Those areas are called districts, and there are Senate districts and assembly districts. Because there are 80 assembly members, there are 80 assembly districts. Because there are 40 senators, there are 40 Senate districts. Now, these do not follow the same lines necessarily. Occasionally there may be overlap, but they're different districts from one another. They don't line up. They're chosen separately and distinctly. The lines are drawn, and they're redrawn every 10 years. So, as those lines are drawn, there's lines drawn for the California State Senate and lines drawn for the California State Assembly separately and independently from one another. So, wherever you live in the state of California, you have a state senator and a state assembly member. These members serve for terms. Now, a term for an assembly member is 2 years. A term for a state senator is 4 years. But the total number of years you can serve in either one or both of these offices combined is a total of 12 years. So they can serve in one house or the other, or a combination of the two, but they can't serve any longer than 12 years total between both houses. Each legislator can introduce bills in their own house. An assembly member introduces assembly bills. A senator introduces Senate bills. Each legislator introduces, on average, 25 bills per year. Now, each legislator also has staff working for them. And they have groups of staff that are split between their offices. Now, you might wonder, why does a legislator have multiple offices? Well, it's actually kind of simple. If you look at the Capitol in Sacramento, the focus of the work that's done there in those offices is primarily focused around legislation and new laws being created for California. But legislators also have concerns besides those inside the Capitol building. Sure, they're concerned with new laws being created for California. They write them. But they're also concerned about what's going on back in their district, partly because they represent that area, they represent those people. They're concerned about their constituents, the people that elected them. but they're also concerned about the issues in their district. They're concerned about the specific issues that are focused in their area that they represent. There might be unique agriculture issues. There might be unique water issues. There might be some other issue that's specific to their district that other legislators, or perhaps most other legislators, aren't concerned with because that's not something going on in their district. But each district, each legislator has their own issues from their own district that they're concerned about. So, back to offices. If a legislator has an office in the Capitol dealing with legislative things, then what's his other office for? Well, constituent and district issues. So a legislator has a staff of people that assist him in the legislative issues going on at the Capitol. Those people work at the Capitol office on legislative issues and things surrounding what's going on at the Capitol. They're busy all day long dealing with those things that are going on at the Capitol. That's the focus. But at the district office, they're focused on other things. They're focused on district issues. They're focused on the local issues. They're focused on constituent issues. Now, constituent issues might be things like, say, you have a problem with the DMV and you're not being able to resolve it directly with the DMV. You can actually call your state legislator's office and ask them to help you maneuver through these agencies that you're struggling with. Perhaps you're having trouble getting a passport. They are there to help. They have specific people designated to help people in the district deal with issues that they're struggling through relating to government and other things. So, if you ever struggle with some issue with a government agency or perhaps some other problem, contact your local legislator, California State Legislature, and ask them for help with those issues. They have a constituent services person that helps with those things. So, the difference here is that the Capitol office is focused on legislation that's going on at the Capitol. The district office is focused on the things going on at the district, and they're also concerned about the things that are concerning the people that live in the district. Remember, the people that live in the district elected the person in office. So, that person needs to get reelected if they're going to go back to their office after the next election. So they care about those issues partly because they're in their district and partly because they want to get reelected. So they are interested in hearing what the concerns are coming from the people that live in the district. So if you come to your legislator's office with a concern about a bill at the Capitol, are they going to turn you away? No. It's not the place that they primarily focus on legislation at the district office, but the district office does care about things that are of concern to the people living in the district. So if you come to that district office, it's not going to have the same focus of legislation, but they're going to be focused on how can we serve the people in our district. It's sort of a different perspective, sort of a different focus, but you can get your message across, and sometimes in a very special and unique way, different than if you were to show up at the Capitol office. The Capitol office is usually visited all day long by lobbyists, but the district office doesn't typically get that kind of traffic. They get visits from people in the district, and that's what the focus is there. So I would encourage you to consider, if you're ever worried about how a bill is going through the legislature, consider contacting somebody at your local district and tell them that you're concerned about it. But you can also go in and meet with them just to learn about how government works. And I would encourage you to have your group, your homeschool group, visit that local district office and perhaps even get to meet with the legislator themselves. So there's two separate offices. They have two different focuses. One is on legislation, one is on district issues. Each state assembly member and senator represents a group of people. But remember, there's half as many state senators as there are assembly members in California. There's 80 assembly members, and in California, our state senators, there's 40 of them. They represent 1 million people each. There's 40 million people in California, and 40 senators. So each senator represents about 1 million people. There's twice as many assembly members. Each one of them represents 500,000 people or 500,000 people. One of the most common questions I get, and the folks that represent homeschooling visiting legislators get at the Capitol or even in district offices is, are there any homeschool families in my district? Well, the answer is yes, because there are lots of homeschool families in California. We have about 2,500 homeschool families per assembly member, and we have about 5,000 homeschoolers per Senate district. So if your senator asks you how many homeschoolers are in my district, you can say about 5,000. And if your assembly member asks you how many homeschoolers are in my district, you can say about 2,500. So these numbers can be very helpful when you're talking with legislators, whether you're at the Capitol office or at the district office. As you go and make visits to either the Capitol office or the district office, you might wonder, is it worthwhile to visit with folks that are not the legislator? Well, the answer is yes. Legislators have a staff, and their staff has a huge job of summarizing things for the legislator, giving them reports on what's going on, giving them reports on what is in legislation, and giving them reports on what is of a concern to those in the district. So if you have a piece of any one of those things, then talking to a staff member can be really critical, because in many cases, that's the only way your message is going to get to the legislator. And so building a relationship with those staff members can be vital. Legislative committees are really important in the legislative process, and legislators are parts of many different committees. Each committee that they sit on, they have particular interest in the areas that that committee deals with. So say a legislator is sitting on an agriculture committee. That means generally that they're interested in agriculture issues, and they have an interest in protecting certain interests in that field. So when you look at a legislator's bio, or you look at their website and see what committees they're part of, you can tell kind of what their interests are. So that's one way to look at a legislator and find out what kinds of things their focus is on, is legislative committees, whether it's housing, judiciary, public safety, or education. Maybe it's health. Maybe it's balancing the budget. Any of these things can help you to understand where they're coming from, what their focus is, and what is really interesting to them. And that can help you as you build a relationship with the legislator or with their staff. That's it for today. I hope this helped you understand better the California State Legislature. And for more information on the legislative process, take a look at our video on how a bill becomes law.